Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and joining me today is Edwin Williams. Edwin is the founder and CEO of ZenHammer. Welcome to the show, Edwin. I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Excited to be on the show.
So let's jump right in and give our listeners a little bit of a background on who you are, your story, and how did you get into home building?
I live in Johnson City, Tennessee. That's where we're based out of. I got into home building not intentionally. I was in St. Louis studying mechanical engineering. My mom had a problem with a remodeler, actually. And I decided I was going to build a software platform to help her find contractors. And what I ended up doing was making a platform like eHarmony for dating, where homeowners would post a job, contractors would see the work, bid on it, we'd hold the payments in escrow, and it would be paid out on a milestone basis till the job was done. So when I started that process, it was just like cold feet jumping in. I'm not in the home building industry, and moved back to Johnson City from St. Louis. Ended up being connected to the Johnson City Area Home Builders Association. And that's how I got into home building. And then with my previous company idea, long story short, it was one of those great on paper, horrible in the marketplace type ideas. But ZenHammer grew out of that, where the contractors we had been working with, general contracting side, and particularly the small subcontractors, liked what we were doing. And they're like, hey, don't quit, just focus on this section of your platform. And that's what we really want. And so that's how we got into home building, NAHB, and all of that was start with my previous business idea.
So you're just like, oh, my mom is having trouble.
Literally.
No big deal.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't know how to program back then either.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Tell us about ZenHammer as it is now. What does it do? What kind of problems do you solve, and who are your primary customers?
We're still in development. The goal was to have been live this summer, but as everyone in construction knows, delays happen. So what ZenHammer is, we do data tracking communication from the job site to the specialty trades to the GC, and then they can pass it on to the client. A good example, I'm not going to be specific on names. I was talking to a specialty trade. They were on a software platform, and then they sent me to a GC that they had communication issues with to talk to the GC. And then the GC was on a software platform, and they sent me back to the specialty trade. And so I realized there was a gap in information and communication. That is, even though you've got a GC and a specialty trade on software that is out today, there is a gap in the market where they are not communicating with each other. And that's causing delays. That's causing out of scope work errors. It's causing all these different things. And that's costing them money. It's costing the client money. And so we're really trying to focus in on what is that gap and how do we build a platform that identifies this gap in the market where, although many of these guys are on software platforms, that communication is not happening properly. And so we do basically take the data from the crew and the subs on site and then organize it and give it to the owners, especially trade owners and the GCs in a real-time format so that they can see, okay, this is what's going on. Here are the guys on site. And, oh, here's a problem. I see it early so I can address it before it gets out.
So is it like a project management communication platform?
Yes, it is. So like you do enter your tasks in it, assign your crew, do your schedules. And then we've got other features that we're building out that'll help in the communication and the updating and some other things that we've got planned out for the next couple of years once we get it live here this year. So that's the goal.
So what's the new release date that we can expect?
The new release date is going to be end of November, early December. If things in the next 3 weeks go as planned. We're actually redoing our entire UI. So that's going to be done here soon. And then we'll start fixing the back end stuff after that. So our new release date's roughly around end of November, early December. And again, I'm going to put an asterisk on that because things happen, particularly in development when you're building a complex platform. So that's the target date. But we've gotten a lot of feedback from people all across the country, which is why we are doing a lot of the updates, and not even just in construction, but from other areas like insurance and banking where they see issues. So those type of things we're trying to implement.
Trust me, I know all about software development. We're constantly updating our software, and it's a moving target.
It is. And especially like right now, I'm primarily a one-man shop. And so it's been a difficult journey. Yeah.
So you taught yourself how to program essentially, right? So
Yes.
you just like got this bug of entrepreneurship, or what made you decide to go down that path? What's driving you to do this?
Media does a disservice to entrepreneurship by making it look easy. And I jumped into entrepreneurship thinking I could solve this problem, hired a programmer, and thought it'd be wham, bam, done. I'm going to make a lot of money. It does not work that way. The first thing I noticed was not knowing how to program. I had no way of vetting people I hired and being able to benchmark their work. So certain things were happening, and I was like, instinctively, I knew this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. But the only way I knew how to fix it was to learn how to program. So I taught myself to program so I could manage the people I was hiring. And then once I learned, it got to the point where I was like, oh, wait, we need to be doing this and this. So if I'm to the point where I'm here and you're refusing to do these things that you know you should be doing, I don't need you anymore. That's the reason I learned was not so much to build the platform from the ground up, but I knew I needed the skills to hire properly, to vet properly, those other things. And then as you go through that process of hiring people and getting rid of them, you learn that you need other skills too.
You just taught yourself how to program. Hello, like no big deal. Right? Again, I guess with your background in engineering, you have that kind of I when I sold the construction, I always said the worst customer is the engineer because they ask
All
millions
the
of questions.
question.
You
Yeah.
have to know all your stuff. They're like into nitty gritty. What do you say to like young entrepreneurs who want to get started out there and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, how to do that?
Honestly, you're going to laugh at this. And it's the bane of a lot of people in construction too. It was YouTube. There's a lot of programming videos on YouTube because like right now you've got people looking at YouTube for home improvement. And then they're like, no, you can do it right here, this on YouTube. And then, no, you can't, or you can, but we'll be back in a couple months. But I started off on YouTube. Then I actually took some courses, Udemy, Coursera, and then I started hanging out with actual developers and then watching what they did and how they learned. And then I'm not the best programmer, but you give me a code block, I can go through it. I can tell you what it's doing, debug it, those type of things. But yeah, it was for new entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter what vertical you're in. Starting off, you have to know to do everything and you have to have that drive to do everything because nobody else is going to do it for you. And when you do find someone to help you, particularly like you're hiring people who are better at a skill set than you are, you have to stay on them. I got burned actually by not being hard on a person I hired. And it was one of those things. I knew them and I gave them too much leeway, particularly if you're a new entrepreneur. Your first 5 people you hire sets the tone for the company going forward. So hire correctly, get rid of them early, make the hiring, like tell them the rules up front. And if they don't abide by the rules, get rid of them as soon as possible, because that will cause problems down the line.
For sure. Because I think when people think, oh, it's a small business and it's not having a boss, it's not corporate, people feel like it's more relaxed in those situations. But it's like you have to be more stringent.
Yeah.
You have so much more at stake. You don't have the budget to just waste money
Yeah.
on mistakes and making those mistakes over and over again. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. And when you have been heavily involved in NAHB, why did you decide to get involved with NAHB? And what benefits have you seen from being involved?
I got involved with NAHB actually before we pivoted the whole platform to ZenHammer. I knew that if I was building a platform, I needed to be around the construction industry. I didn't have a lot of residential construction contacts. When I joined Johnson Area Home Builders, they came in, looked at the platform, and shredded it to pieces. But they gave me great feedback. Every feature, every idea, everything that we plan to do has come from members of NAHB. They've been the ones testing it. They've seen the designs. They've done that. The reason I joined was I needed to become a part of the community. And then the reason I stayed is because we all became family. Though it's like a cliche statement, but it's true. And the way that NHB has helped me is when all our designs, all our feedback, everything has come from primarily NAHB members. And this platform is truly a contractor, especially trades driven platform. And also, particularly like when I've hit low points, um, and when I hit a low point, it was a very low point in 2018. It was before we started ZenHammer. I was winding down our previous business idea. A couple GCs took me out to lunch and they were like, "You've seen the meme with the guy with the noose around his head his first time? That's literally the talk they gave me." It's, "Hey, this is the first time? Nah, we've been through this many times and we're still here." Okay. So it's been great. They're friends, um, going to be clients, and everything that we've done has come from primarily feedback from NAHB members.
That's awesome. So we've created an advisory board. Like we call them the super users of Inugo products.
Yeah.
And we tend to meet every quarter to discuss what we have in the pipeline for product development, any feedback on what's working, what's not working, where there needs to be improvement. And we found that's been the best way to really get that pulse on how people are responding to your product, especially with developing new features, has been super helpful. So I'm sure as you roll it out, that is something you can implement as well.
Yeah.
And when you and I have met through the YP,
Those the YPs, yes.
those YPs, you can't avoid them.
Yeah.
And we happen to be also in the NAHB Leadership Academy together this year. You and I are both part of the first inaugural class. So what's been your experience so far with the NAHB Leadership Academy?
I've enjoyed it a lot. It's allowed me to meet people in NAHB I haven't met yet, and everyone's been great. One of my favorite exercises was the personality test that we did. Being able to see how we respond to situations. And it's been a lot of the stuff that has been very interesting in terms of learning your leadership style, learning public relations, and each aspect of the leadership process. And the reason why I wanted to join is I'm always seeking ways to improve myself. And when the opportunity came for the leadership program, I saw it as you've got great leadership in NHB. If I can be closer to that to learn to be a better leader in business and life, I'm going to jump on that opportunity. So that's what I did. Always looking for information, mentorship, whatever I can to make myself better and so I can achieve the goals for myself, the goals for my friends, the goal for my family that I want to do. And the Leadership Academy fit that. And so it's been a great experience so far. I'm excited to get this capstone started so we can get it ready for
We something up this place. Yeah, we can't seem to agree on this capstone project that we have. We still have some time, but it's ticking away. So I don't know. We got to get ourselves together on this. Pick one.
I know, pick one, do it, and then just get it done and make it.
It's like we have so many different personalities in the group, and it was really funny. That was actually one of the favorite things that we've done for me as well. When they separated us into different groups according to our personalities and had us do different tasks, and it was very humorous to see how each group proceeded to accomplish that task. And it was like to see what personality
Yeah.
says, how different it was from group to group. Yeah.
My group was, we were all let's do it, start and figure it out as we go. And then you weren't in the group that needed all the information, were you?
No, I'm like, let's get this going. Who
And
needs
then,
directions? Let's
yes.
just figure it out. Yeah, for sure. It's so interesting to know what your personality traits are and where you can improve in certain things and like why you do certain things the way you do. I saw something on social media that said, uh, I associate myself as late and my pronouns are almost there. And I
That's amazing.
that is me too. See, I've always struggled with being on time, and especially when it comes to projects or like anything, it's the due date. It's merely a suggested timeline.
Yeah.
And I get started a half an hour before it's due, but I tend to get it done. But yeah, even after it's done, I still put on finishing touches. Let's just say so.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how everybody functions, and especially as a young entrepreneur, I'm sure as you're hiring within your company, that's something you can apply to see, okay, what other personalities would match
Mhm.
mine, or sometimes you do need that counter person. Like in my company, we have somebody who is a counter for me. Like anything I do, I give to her to read first because I call her like the eagle eye.
Mhm.
She is
Got it.
so detail oriented that she will catch every little thing where I am much more of a broad, big picture. Like this is the idea. It's cool. Who cares about the little details? The little details don't matter.
Like her, send them my way because I need someone like
Those are hard to find. So
yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
gold. Yeah, hold on to them if you get them. So Edwin, in addition to being involved with the YPs, are there other councils within the NHB that you have been a part of?
Yes, I was on the BMIT committee until this year, actually. So I was part of them for a couple
What
years.
is BMI?
Business management and information technology.
Oh, that's
Also,
programming.
yes, and we also had the Biz Tools, which is a great feature on NHB, which is a lot of the shop talks and education is there. And then this year, I am the second vice chair of the associates committee. So Billy Ray is the chair, Alma is first chair, and I'm second vice chair. The associates committee represents the associates of NAHB.
Wonder what if you break it down, how many actually associates versus home builders?
I had that number.
Is it half
It's
and half, or
not half and half. I think there's more associates currently than
I wouldn't be surprised if there's more
yeah.
than
If my memory's fuzzy right now because I've not been sleeping, but I do think there's more associates than members.
we all build, right? So what are some of the things that you guys are talking about on the associates committee? What is that committee designed for? And what are some of the biggest things you guys are pushing for, if you don't mind sharing with us?
So some of the things that we're working on first is education. So one of the things that the committee is doing is first understanding who the associates are. Because right now it's you have your builder members and your associate members, but associate members is really diverse. So you've got your specialty trades, you've got those in finance, you've got those in software, and no one has really broken that down. So what we've started to do is identify each member group, how many of specialty trades, what are those specialty trades? Plumbers, electricians, mechanical, and other associates, you've got lenders, you've got different groups, and each group has different needs. So you just can't say lump all of associates into one group and say, here's a blanket need for everybody and a plan to serve them well. So what we're looking at is breaking it down and more granular and then figuring out, okay, specialty trades needs this, lenders need this, software needs this group over here needs that. So how do we develop education for them? How do we develop support for them? And so that's what the biggest thing that we're doing this year is setting that up for them to move forward to build a better support system for the associates.
So we have a fall leadership meeting coming up. If you guys want to get involved with that, it's a really great way to see what's going on, what different committees are there. And one of the best things is that you can sit in pretty much on any meeting. So next meeting that we have is going to be in San Antonio, Texas. In
October 1st.
Thank you. Exactly. October 1st through October 3rd, I believe.
Cool.
Our class of the NAHB Leadership Academy is going to be meeting at about the same time for our session, which I'm excited for because we have our YP leader, Robert Carroll, is going to be joining us, as well as Greg Ugande. They're going to be talking to us about pursuing different paths in leadership and within NAHB. As I'm going to be taking over for Robert next year. So I have quite a big shoes to fill. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And you guys, I will strongly encourage you all, if you have the opportunity to go to San Antonio, check it out. It's only a couple of days. You get to meet everybody in person. You'll get to sit in on any meetings that you want. And in addition to obviously attending the NHB Leadership Academy in the fall and attending your associates meeting, are there any other committees that you want to check out while you're there?
I usually sit in on a single family. This will be my first PWB meeting. I have never been to one, and I hear great.
For those who don't know, it's Professional Women in Building.
So I hear great things about it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not just for women. Stick your head in and come in." So I'm going to do my first PWB, and then I also sit in on PR, and so I usually sneak into the back, but I tend to ask way too many questions, but yeah, so those are the ones.
You're allowed. I love that one too. So I sat in once on that meeting, but I do want to start attending that because it's right up my alley. For any business, you have to know how to do PR.
Yes, yeah.
So,
PR, single family, and PWB are the three ones that I'm going to be specifically looking to join. And then others I will stick my head in. I think I'm going to peek into, but not stay for bill pack. Election year bill pack meetings are very intense. And so I'm like, maybe I'll just stick my head in to see what's going on and step out to it.
yes, it's definitely interesting because, yeah, the issues and the candidates, it's definitely very polarizing. So I'm gonna, yeah, I had my fill at DC and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
that's good. So, Edwin, for our listeners who may be wanting to follow your journey into entrepreneurship and follow your new company, is there a place where they can go to stay updated on ZenHammer as you're rolling out the product and join?
We've been very quiet with getting everything back, getting everything done. So I have not been active on social media like I used to be, but you can follow me on LinkedIn. Just enter my email, edwin@getzenhammer.com. I'll pop up. And I do respond to emails. Sometimes they end up in my spam folder. So if I don't get your email, probably end up there. And I do try to check that from time to time. We have a LinkedIn profile, we have a Facebook profile and Instagram, but I have not been as active on social media this year. And then once we get closer to having a actual launch date, I will really start jumping up social media activity. And then on the website, getzenhammer.com, there is a sign up sheet where you can enter your name and email. And once we get closer, we'll start reaching out to everyone to give better updates, because right now it's all putting out fires and the drill and getting things, even though we're moving forward, you're building the plane as you're falling and hoping that you have enough space to get the wings and engines working before you hit the ground. So that's how life is.
Absolutely. I'm excited to follow your journey and I'm going to be cheering on the sidelines. And for our listeners, we have mostly home builders. Who would be the ideal person for your product? Is there certain GCs, type of homes they would be building, the number of homes, etc.?
Yeah. So the ideal customer would be a specialty trades owner operator or a GC who has multiple projects that they have to look over. So if you're a GC who's working on site, you are there. But if you're GC or specialty trades who have multiple sites, miscommunication happens. Those are the type of people that we're looking for, where you've got 3 or more sites that you're active on at any given time. So
Makes sense. All right. We are very excited to follow along with your journey of entrepreneurship and releasing the software to the world. And I'm sure it's very nerve wracking. It's like having your firstborn being judged by the world. But we're here to cheer you on and support you. So, Edwin, as we wrap up this podcast, was there anything that I didn't ask you or you think is important for our listeners to understand, whether it's about your company, about your product, or NAHB, anything we've talked about?
I think we've covered it all. I'll just say, if you could make it to the fall meeting, when I first joined NAHB, Johnson City Area Home Builders Association, I didn't quite understand why I should go to national meetings. Like, I'd go to the state meeting in Tennessee, and then Randy Noel came to visit our state meeting, and he made a statement, and I was like, that statement doesn't apply to me. This is very simple slide of our discussion. And he reiterated the statement, and then basically it boiled down to, you need to come to IBS. And so I was like, all right, I'm coming to IBS. So go to IBS, and I'm still around. I'd recommend coming to a national meeting because you learn a lot, you meet a lot of people, you make a lot of great connections, and you never know what happens. Like, you might meet someone and that person might take your business to the next level. And I recommend it highly. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. Our business is such a relationship business. That's why I try to get out there as much as possible. That's why I'm always on phone calls, on Zoom calls. I'm always following up with my friends in the industry. Every single opportunity I've had was because somebody said, oh, you know what? You'd be great for this. So I've got relationships. I'm so lucky to have people that advocate on my behalf, even when I'm not in that room. And the only way it's going to happen is if you are out there making those connections. I really do believe some of my closest friends now are people from NAHB that became my closest friend. So, Edwin, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's very inspiring. So if there's any entrepreneurs out there or entrepreneurs wannabe, you have some ideas, want to know how Edwin got started, some of the challenges and some of the positive things that he's experienced so far, feel free to reach out to him, connect on LinkedIn. I'll definitely include that in the show notes for an easy connection for you guys. And again, thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to seeing you in San Antonio on October 1st.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll see you
That's what I'm flying in.
Yes, yes.
And
See you
see you soon.